worked with a lot of startups. My understanding of startups is when everybody comes to me initially, they say, I do not know much about this, then I do not know much about the compliances. But as I keep working, the business is progressing, and I have seen a lot of transformation in them in the 3 to 4 years when they come and sit and discuss with us over phone or discuss about various compliances, or when they go for funding. They had already done a lot of research, attended a lot of classes, and they say about talk about valuation. So seeing as an entrepreneur, I think you will pick up things very fast. Okay. So I have structured in such a way that I wanted to start from the basics. I'll go step by step, slowly, and for many of us it might be still basics, so please bear with me. And those who think it's a new, just try to understand, and if you don't understand, please stop me. I've structured in such a way that what I studied in 3 years in graduation or few years in CA, I want to give it in a very short time. Because whether it's a balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow, that is the final thing you are going to see. So starting from 11th standard till you complete BCom, a lot of things have been considered and given in such a fashion that you are able to easily understand. Okay. So you two are already in the finance department, right? And some of you said you have already seen the financials. Whatever is accounts, whatever financials you have seen, every transaction will be somewhere related to these five only. Anybody is talking about accounts or finance, anything you want to record in accounts or finance, it's going to be under this five. First one is revenue or income, right?
This will be available to you as a PowerPoint from the incubation cell. So I would suggest focus on it rather than taking notes.
So every organization, first thing is there's a revenue. So any stream of revenue, different types of revenue, so that comes under revenue or income. Talk about a company, you say what is the turnover? What is the run rate? That's the first category. As against revenue, what do you spend? What do you spend to earn the revenue? So salary cost, research cost, travel cost, staff welfare, business development, purchases, rental, electricity, that's expenses. So this covers almost 50% of the accounting transaction. Then you talk about assets. You have tangible assets, you have intangible assets. Then tangible, you have furnitures, interior, and own property or some machinery. Then as against assets, you have liabilities. Loan you get, bank loan, either overdraft or term loan, whatever way, from the individuals you might have, you might take loan from shareholders or will take loan from some directors. And other liabilities are, at the end of the month you have to pay salary. So today it is a liability you are going to pay tomorrow. Then you have capital. Capital is what the owner contributes. Okay. So many of you are entrepreneurs here, right? Just quickly to understand, you have brought in your capital. You have brought in your capital. And when you know the capital is not sufficient, you would have taken some loan. Yes, you would have taken some loan. Liabilities and capital. So these are called sources of finance. Sources of funding. You have your own capital or you borrow money. Then when you get this sources of finance, what do? You buy assets. Then you spend money for expenses and that will result in revenue. So all of you are clear with this? Yeah. Yeah, capital is what the entrepreneur brings in as equity. So when you start a company, do a projection that I need to initially invest 5 lakhs. Since you are the entrepreneur, you are going to bring in the 5 lakhs, or you ask 1 or 2 more people to bring it as a equity, that becomes a capital. Suppose assume you need to spend 10 lakhs in the first 2 months. You don't have any revenue. How will you manage the 10 lakhs? Your capital is only 5 lakhs. So what will you do? Take a loan. That becomes a liability. So the capital and the other liabilities become source. That is where your kitty is. From there you buy assets. Then from there you spend money on expenses. Then you have a product sale and get the revenue. Any transaction in accounts will come under this 5 categories. So any questions on this? Yeah, see funding, there are 2 things, okay. Can be equity funding or debt funding. I understand you talk about equity funding, that's a capital.
Okay, if it is an angel investment means?
Anything, see when you get the money, either you get as a shareholder's money, equity, or you get as a loan. Angel funding or next level funding, they all become owners of the company. In other words, this belongs to the owners of the company.
Okay.
Anybody who has contributed to the capital is the owner of the company. You might, as a promoter, you might hold 50%. There might be 10 or 20 investors, each might be having 2%, 3%. So this belongs to the owner, or who owns the company depends on who has brought in this capital. So what happens when you have a revenue? What will you do with the revenue? You have to spend money, so that comes under expenses. So you get a revenue of say 1 crore. I'll tell you, you get a revenue of 1 crore. You expend money around 80 lakhs. So 20 lakhs is a profit that belongs to the owner. That's a surplus you generate every year. That's called reserves and surplus. Initially invest a capital of 10 lakhs. So that is getting added by the every year's all apportion. After everything you have some profit that comes to you. That is added to the capital. Yeah.
So if a company gets a grant, government grant for the product development,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what is it called? Is it capital or it's a liability?
See, grant should be separately treated. I will address that separately. Okay. Some cases we treat the grant as an income. It is not a capital because you are not sharing any equity.
So actually if you treat a grant as an income, then you will have like income tax also on the grant,
No,
right?
that I will separately discuss on that
Okay.
after completing the basics. Okay. Loans will come under liabilities. See, when you get the loan, you are liable to repay, right? So that's why it's a liability. So we are just getting into the subject. If you have any questions on this, please ask. Yeah. Now just an example, whatever I said, the next slide will talk about what will come under each head. Revenue is just self-explanatory. Bank interest, other revenues, all will come under revenue. Expenses, direct expenses, indirect expenses, interest, depreciation, amortization, these are expenses. You have assets, fixed assets, investments, inventory, receivable, cash and bank balance. Liabilities, you have loans, payables, statutory liabilities, bank overdrafts and limits. Capital, yours can be equity or preference. So you really don't have to go deep into what is preference, all those things. The focus is not that. I will address it separately in case you have a question. So now I told you there are 5 categories of transactions, and each category what will come. Just an example. Yeah.
So in the interest, which is in the expenses,
Yeah.
so that is a thing when you take a loan, then that is that interest?
Yeah. See, there are 2 types of interest. When you take a loan, interest is an expense. Here I am talking about interest, that is interest for the loan which you have taken. It's an expense. Okay. Yeah.
When you say whatever investments the company has
Yeah.
made.
Yeah, for example, you have some surplus money,
Okay.
probably you invest in some assets like some shares or some debentures, that becomes your investment for the company.
Suppose
Not
we mutual funds or something.
Exactly. Yeah. You have some surplus money for next 3 months, you don't need it. You can park it in some short-term investments.
When you talk of loans, particularly, suppose
Yeah.
a company has taken loan
Yeah.
and it is paying interest on it.
Yeah.
So the interest part goes to the expense and the principal part goes to the liability. Is it that way?
Exactly. See, you get around 10 lakhs loan.
Huh.
Loan is a liability.
Yes.
That liability calls for servicing the liability.
Yes,
You
yes.
pay interest.
Yes.
Interest goes an expense.
Okay.
10 lakhs remains as a loan.
Understood.
When you want to repay 2 lakhs out of it, the liability becomes 10 lakhs to 8 lakhs.
Understood. And
The principal repayment will reduce the liability. Interest repayment will go towards expenses.
understood. And when you say inventory,
Yeah.
particularly in assets, so is it like some cases we hear that it's not a good thing to have too much of inventory? It
Yeah.
says that your thing is just lying around. So
Yeah. Yeah.
could you just also?
So, like too much of inventory, what is the optimum inventory? I have further slides. When I complete the basics, then we will analyze the balance sheet and find out what is wrong in the balance sheet. We will have a health check of your balance sheet. Which is right, which is wrong, which can be reduced, which can be increased, are you in the right direction? Analysis of balance sheet will come at the end of this class.
Similarly, receivables is also similar to inventory. If you have a receivable for a long time,
Yeah.
does it also mean, I mean, the same?
Same
quantity?
thing. When you analyze the balance sheet, you say there is an inventory, you say there is a receivable. How long the receivable is outstanding? That shows whether it's really receivable or not. Only on that aspect, Gopal was telling cash flow. When we discuss about the cash flow, then you know the importance of this. You would have made a profit, but there is no cash in the company. Then finally you analyze where the cash has gone. That might be sitting as a receivable somewhere, or that might be sitting as an inventory somewhere. Yeah, please.
So this receivable cannot be considered as revenue, right? Suppose I have sold, say, 50 units.
Yeah.
And I've got a payment for 25 units.
Okay.
Now the remaining 25 units is standing as receivable.
Okay.
So what do I, now what we, I mean, currently we have this trend of putting that 50 units sold as revenue. When does that become complete revenue and when does that become receivable?
See, accounting is basically on accrual basis. When the ownership is transferred to somebody, you recognize it as a sale. In your case, you have raised invoice for 50 lakhs, it becomes a revenue. But out of 50 lakhs, you should have got 50 lakhs cash, but you have got 25 lakhs. So 25 lakhs goes as cash balance, 25 lakhs sitting as receivable. Income is booked. Okay. That we call the recognition of your revenue. You have raised an invoice, assets have been transferred, stocks have been transferred, the risk is transferred. Hereafter only sales return can happen. We can't say he will not pay. So the 50 lakhs is sitting as cash balance 25 lakhs, receivable 25 lakhs. But sale is 50 lakhs concluded. Revenue, yes. That is where the difference is between profit and loss account and cash flow. Your boss might say, you have done a sale of 50 lakhs, where is the money? There the cash flow helps. Yes, I made a sale of 50 lakhs, but 25 lakhs I need to receive. Yeah, so I will address that in the analysis part. Okay. Simple term, tangibles are all assets you actually physically see. And you are in some SaaS company, software development company. Manufacturing company, you have a lot of tangible assets. Say computers, then furniture fittings, any machineries which you can physically see. But a lot of startups, especially in the technology front, first few years you spend a lot of money on product development. There are two options. Since it is spent, you can show it as an expense. But if you show it as an expense, when you see the balance sheet, whatever product you have developed, it doesn't find a place. So till you start generating revenue, Instead of writing this as an expense, we call it, bring it under the category fixed assets, under the category intangibles. Okay, and we will amortize it in the next few years. Most of the companies, first year you don't get any revenue, but you employ people to develop a product, you pay them salary. So we will not show it as a salary, we will show it as a product development cost. And it is a balance sheet item, it becomes a asset for you. What will you do with the asset? When you start generating revenue, suppose you spend 1 crore in the product development. Next year you get revenue. When you product development you spend 1 crore, then you see how many years the product will be utilized, how much of revenue we can generate. Based on that, you will every year write off this asset through amortization. Okay, this 1 crore intangible will be written off as expense next 4 years or 5 years, depends on how long you are going to use it. Yeah. So when you have this startup, there are certain liabilities like provident fund or ESI or withholding tax, then staff labor welfare fund, which you need to remit every month. So, yeah, compliances. Till you remit, this becomes a liability. So how many employees are there in your company? Okay, fine. So when you have a company, it depends on the number of people you have. GST, for example, you do a sale, you charge GST. It is a pass through to your company. You collect the GST, till you pay back, it becomes a liability for you, statutory liability. Okay, that is, it is not your money. Having seen the 5 categories and what will come under each category, then when you go to a company, you ask for the financials. They are going to give you this. They are going to give you this: balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow. Balance sheet talks about what are your liabilities, what are your assets. That's a balance sheet. What are the liabilities, what are the assets. Profit and loss account talks about what is the revenue, what are the expenses, what is the surplus or deficit. That's profit and loss account. Then cash flow. Apart from profit and loss account and balance sheet, this is another important statement which will talk about how much cash you have generated. How much cash you have spent. What is the balance? Where is the cash? This is the cash flow statement. Now, 2 of you are from the finance department, right? You have seen the audited accounts at the end of the year. You will have only these 3. As Gopal was making a remark, more than the first 2, last one is very vital. Because lot of startups will have this problem. You do lot of sales. Buyer might not accept your sale, you might return it, so will not make the payment. It will stand as receivables. Or you invest in inventory, inventory is not moving. So even though there is profit in the books, you will not have the cash. So where is the cash? How did you manage the cash? Cash flow explains that. For the time being, just understand there are 3 statements. I'll slightly go deeper in the next few slides. So how many of you have heard about these 3? Mostly. Yeah. If you haven't heard, only these 3 things. So when you go for a test and go to a doctor and give your reports, he does a health check and tell you, what all you have to do. It's a health check. Same way, if you want to know the company, this is what we do, lot of due diligence, this is what we do. We do the interpretation based on balance sheet. Okay. Before going further, just a small example about one startup. There is one startup which has done very good sales. Okay. For example, they have done a sale of around 5 crores and they have made profits. And we have gone further. See that, have they really done profit? But we have seen receivables of around 3.5 crores. Then you might say, what is wrong? You are yet to collect 3.5 crores, but they have made a profit out of 5 crores sales, around 1 crore profit, 20% profit they have made. When you see the profit and loss account, it's a good result. 20% on sales is a good result. Then we have seen in the balance sheet receivables of 3.5 crore. That means you have made a profit of 1 crore, but you are yet to collect 3.5 crores. Then we have gone further and see where is the receivables. Then this 3.5 crore is about to come from 2 or 3 distributors. And we have asked for the distributors to give confirmation. Do you really owe 3.5 crore to the company? They said yes. When will you pay? We are yet to sell the stocks. When we sell the stocks, we will pay. So now, from the financials, we have gone to a situation where even though the company books a profit, actually they have not made profit. They have only transferred from our office to a distributor place. When we have the stock statement of distributor, all the products remain as such. No sale has effectively happened. The distributor has sold it, then it is okay. You moved the product from here, kept it in another place, showed it as the sales, and showed a profit. So that is where the balance sheet will be helpful. You made a profit. What are your assets? Receivables, inventory. Cash flow will be helpful at the time. So these are the 3 statements generally. There are few other statements are there, but in the normal course of business, these 3 are enough. Actually, you are going to do one small problem on cash flow after this session is over. When you do that, you will understand all the 3 clearly. Very simple problem I have created, okay, and I will divide you into small groups so you can discuss and solve this problem. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So all of you know this. So that's similarity between signs and accounts. Next, what is accounts? For every debit, there is an equal and opposite credit. That's all. You heard about tallying the balance sheet? Tallying the balance sheet, tallying the profit and loss account. You don't have to tally, it will automatically tally, because it follows a simple law of Newton's third law. Every action has got an equal and opposite reaction. Same way accounts, you don't have to tally, it will tally on its own, because every debit there is an opposite credit. I'll give a small example, then you will understand. You said you have brought in 10 lakhs as a capital, isn't it? The balance sheet, what happens? Capital 10 lakhs. It's a liability, right? Where will be the 10 lakhs? When you bring in 10 lakhs, where is the money available? Where will you keep the 10 lakhs? Bank. I mean, capital is 10 lakhs, bank is 10 lakhs. For every credit, there is a debit. Now forget about debit credit. I am saying every liability, there is an asset. Now capital is 10 lakhs, bank balance is 10 lakhs, your balance sheet tallies. This is exactly called double entry. Not 2 entries. Opposite reaction. Now in the bank you have 10 lakhs. You want to buy an assets for 5 lakhs. Now 10 lakhs will become 5 lakhs. Now where is another 5 lakhs? It will be in fixed assets. Again 10 lakhs it will tally. So any transaction should have this dual effect. There is no single entry, there is double entry. Every transaction have this dual effect. Either if liability increases, asset will increase. When asset reduces, liability will reduce or another asset will increase. There is always increase, they should tally. This is about accounting law. For you to understand what exactly is this, what is equity plus surplus plus liability will always equal assets. I'll give you just a minute time to really understand this. Owner's equity, why it is surplus, the profit also belongs to the owners. Then liabilities, 10 lakhs. That will be equal to asset for the 10 lakh. Now, tell me one transaction, any one accounting transaction you tell me. Anything happening in the business. Okay. Now, you see there is a sale of 1 lakh. Sale of 1 lakh. It's a surplus or deficit for the company? 1 lakh. So, 10 lakhs will become 11 lakhs. But where is that 1 lakh? It is added to the asset. The cash balance will increase, so it will become 11. Yeah, few from finance team. Just tell me one accounting situation, accounting transaction. Purchase of?
Any equipment or raw material.
Raw material. Now generally, now 10 lakhs tallying. Now purchase raw materials of 1 lakh. So when you purchase, you take out the cash. So this will become 9 lakhs. But that will come and sit in the form of raw material. So your bank balance will come down, raw material balance will increase, again it is 10 lakhs, matching with 10 lakhs. So I have understood, oh, accounts is so easy only after completing BCom, when this was introduced to me. When I joined CA, first I went for a class, he talked about Newton's law, then said accounts is like this. Any transaction, there should be dual effect. If that is happening, accounts will tally. Then I went through my 11th standard, 12th standard BCom, oh, it is really easy. I have only learnt it in the wrong way. This is how the accounts looks. Yeah, travel. So when you,
where does it add?
yeah, so that is the deficit. The surplus is coming down, right? So when you spend 1 lakh, 10 lakh will become 9 lakhs. Here assets 10 lakh, bank balance will become 1 lakh less, 10 lakhs will become 9 lakhs. So you just imagine any situation, this will tally. So when we do the sums in the accounts examination, we always see the dual effect. Debit, credit, debit, credit. Every entry, if you see that it is ensured, then all accounts will tally automatically. So I will move on to the next point. Few examples for better understanding. Capital contribution by owners. Now go to the previous slide. Now another 10 lakhs is coming into the company. Now what will this become? 20. The 10 lakhs will get into the bank, assets will increase by another 10 lakh, 20, 20 matching. Loans received. Loans received 10 lakhs. Now go here again. When it is 10 lakhs, if you receive loans another 10 lakhs, what will be the total of here? 20. Assets will be 20 because already you have 10, you have additional 10 lakh bank balance, 20. Fixed assets purchased, you ask these questions. Now it is 10-10. Now fixed assets purchased, there is no liability involved here. You issue a check for 5 lakhs. Now how much it becomes? 5 lakhs. But that is replaced by fixed assets of 5 lakhs, 10-10 matching. So now if you see any balance sheet, you will understand. Oh, this is the liability, this is the assets, this is used for this, but finally it is time. Inventory purchased, the same effect. You purchase inventory for 2 lakhs. Now how much it will become? 8 lakhs plus inventory 2 lakhs, 10 lakhs. So some transaction will have reduce this as well as reduce this. Some transaction will reduce, it will increase. It will reduce, it will increase, or both will reduce. Finally it should tally. There are 4 types of transactions. Your liability will increase, correspondingly asset will increase. It is matching. Second type of transaction, the liability will come down, asset will also come down. Third transaction, one liability will increase, another liability will come down. You take one loan and repay another loan. Fourth type of transaction, one asset will come down, another asset will increase. You buy equipment, cash balance will come down, assets will increase. Only there can be 4 possibilities in any transaction. Just I'll give you one more minute. Just understand this.
Suppose I have made a loan repayment.
Yeah.
I'm not taking one more loan.
Okay.
So my liability has come down.
Yeah.
Now what happens to the asset in that case?
Now how much is the total liability surplus? 10 lakh. Now you take a loan. How much loan you want to take? 5 lakh. Now how much it will become? 15 lakhs. Now another loan, you are repaying another loan?
Now, I was considering, I have now this 10 lakhs. In this 10 lakhs, suppose 5 lakhs is my liability through loans.
Yeah.
So I am repaying that 5 lakhs.
Okay.
Now what happens to my asset
What?
with the same figures?
Now
there?
10 lakhs become 5 lakhs.
Mm, mm,
Now when you repay, you are issuing a check, right?
mm.
Bank balance will come down by 5 lakhs. So that is decrease in liability, decrease in assets. So if you see the balance sheet, you will know 1 year loan is 10 lakhs. Fixed deposit is also 10 lakhs. Next year, see suddenly the loan is also not there, fixed is not there. That means you have taken the fixed deposit and repaid the loan. So I appreciate this is a good question. If you have any question like this for understanding, you ask. Yeah.
I've bought a laptop for 1 lakh,
Okay.
and after using for 1 year, I'm reselling it for 80,000.
Okay.
So what will be my asset and what will be
First we take the first transaction. You buy laptop for 1 lakh. So decrease in bank balance, increase in fixed assets. So one asset comes down, one asset comes up, so equilibrium is maintained. Now next year, I don't want to get into depreciation, I will come to it later. Now you are selling it for 90,000. Now asset comes down by 90,000 and bank balance increases by 90,000. But asset value is 1 lakh. This will come down by 10,000 because there is a loss. Surplus will come down by 10,000. 90,000 adjustment happening here. 1 lakh asset is coming down, but 90,000 already come. So net effect is 10,000. It is coming down. So your surplus will come down by 10,000. It will be 9 lakh 10,000 both the cases. 9 lakh 90,000 both the cases. Are you clear? Okay. I'll explain again. He says laptop is 1 lakh. He is selling at 90,000. There is a loss or profit? Loss. That means surplus will come down. It will become 9 lakh 90. Here also it will be 9 lakh 90. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
If he sells his laptop after 2 to 3 years,
Ah.
so do we consider discounting or compounding over that?
So that one part is there is a concept of depreciation. Okay. Now I will talk about the depreciation, then I will come to sale. Now laptop is 1 lakh. At the end of year, you provide depreciation of 30,000 rupees because you say you will use it for 3 years. Actually, different. I am assuming it is 3 years. So 1 lakh will come down by 30,000. So what will be the asset value now? 9 lakh 70,000. Now this 30,000 is a loss for us. 1 lakh laptop comes down to 70,000. That means asset value will come down to 9 lakh 70. But here it is 10 lakh. But the 30,000 is a loss for the company. So that becomes a deficit. Surplus will come down. This will become 9 lakh 70. This will also be 9 lakh 70. Okay. Ah, okay. That is where I say surplus. You make a sale of 1 lakh. You spend 80,000. When you make a sale of 1 lakh, you spend 80,000. Remaining is 20,000 rupees. So 20,000 you have cash balance here, profit. Either it is a cash or receivables or something. But 20,000, this goes to the owners. So this will become 10 lakh 20. This will also become 10 lakh 20. sell 1 lakh, sell 80,000, you make a surplus of 20. 20 should belong to whom? Owners. So it goes here, this becomes 10 lakh 20. But here where is the 20? It might be a cash balance or receivables, 10 lakh. Just a quick recap before we proceed further. Clear with this? If you have even a small doubt, please ask. I will clarify that. What are the various things under each heading?
Amortization and depreciation are same.
See, I will talk about depreciation, in effect it is same, but there are certain rules for depreciation, certain rules for amortization. Okay, where we use amortization, where we use the term depreciation. Okay. You develop a product, now it becomes an asset for you. Now you know you are going to use the life of the product. For you develop a software, this software will give you revenue for 10 years. Then I will amortize the expense into 10 years. 10 lakh every year, 1 lakh, 1 lakh, that is called amortized. You have fixed assets. By usage, its value goes down. That is depreciation. So that's why I use depreciation stroke amortization. It is the expense recognized for the usage of an asset. It is not actual cash flow. You are using it, but that is the value comes down, so you are recognizing it as an expense.
So in that sense, that can also be used as an asset too, because like consider after years of developing it has become a technology, and that will be giving you as a more and more like it will be adding more and more money, right? So that thing can be also taken as an asset also.
Which one?
This thing for the amortization, like you mentioned, you spent like 10 lakh rupees over a course of like 10 months, right? Or 10 years. So you saying per year, then you'll be adding like 1 lakh.
I am not adding. I am saying you spend 10 lakhs for a product development. Now it becomes your intangible asset. Now, after 6 years, you think the product is not giving you any revenue. What's the point in showing it as an asset? So when you make an intangible asset, you assess the value. Next, how many years this will give you revenue? Sometimes in 2 years, you may have to amortize it. Third year, a new product will come, this will not be anywhere. So it depends on the number of years the revenue will come, you account it as an expense. Because the 10 lakhs is not expense for this year, you are spending the 10 lakhs to earn revenue for next 5 years. So I am going to treat this as expense for next 5 years. Okay. So remember this. Every debit there is a credit. This is a formula you can always remember. When you have the financials, you just remember this formula. You will know how to analyze the financials. These are for better understanding how this formula is tallying.
So the credit purchase, can you just explain, sir?
Yeah, credit purchases. I'll come to this formula. Okay. When you purchase, what do you get? You get inventory. So asset is increasing. So 10 lakh becomes 11 lakh. Liability is also increasing by 1 lakh.
Say this, sir. So on the first day of the month,
Yeah.
March, I buy something and I add it to my product and
Yeah.
I sell it at the 5th of March.
Correct.
I get some revenue.
Correct.
Sale has happened, I got the cash in my account.
Correct.
On 5th of March,
Yeah.
I have surplus, the product sale has happened, so I got some extra money.
Correct.
Whereas I have not paid the money.
Correct. So now this is a series of transactions. First, take the first transaction. You buy some products, buy some inventory.
Yes.
Okay. On credit, you are not paying them.
I'm not paying. Credit period is 30 days.
30 days. Now when you first get that material, you have to do the accounts. Now assuming you are buying it for 1 lakh. Now asset will increase by 1 lakh. What will be the total value of asset? 11 lakh. Now you have to pay somebody, right? Your vendor you have to pay or not. So liability becomes 11 lakhs. It is matched. This is the first transaction. Then you are selling it. The same 1 lakh, you are selling it for 1 lakh 20. You are selling 1 lakh product for 1 lakh 20. You have made a profit of 20,000. Okay. Now again, this 11 lakhs will become 10 lakhs now. Because you have sold that product. Isn't it? But you are yet to receive 1 lakh 20. That's a profit of 20,000 goes here. So this becomes 11 lakh 20. Here the receive will be 1 lakh 20. It will be from whom you have to collect 1 lakh 20. Once again it will match. So this becomes 11 lakh 20. This also becomes 11 lakh 20.
So can I just interrupt here?
Yeah.
Can I have a mic?
So actually the example he gave and the question he asked were absolutely brilliant. Can any of you tell me apart from him why it was brilliant?
You bought the inventory for credit and then you sold it and took the revenue on hand itself.
Exactly. So this is actually the highlight of what he is trying to get across today, your cash management. So this is a brilliant example of cash management. You buy on credit and sell either on cash or much less credit, credit terms to your customer. So exceptionally successful companies actually go on what is called negative working capital. Typically to run a company, you need cash. Exceptionally successful companies, and Unilever in India is one such example. Check their balance sheet. They operate on negative working capital because the credit which they get from the customer is significantly, from their supplier, is significantly more than the credit which they give to their customers, their distributors. So this example which you gave is actually the highlight of what he's trying to achieve today on how to manage cash. And incidentally, this was not a planted question.
The question was asked basically understand the accounts, but that's a business concept. You buy on credit, sell it, collect the money, take your profit, then pay to the vendor. Okay. That means you are making some profit without any investments. There are certain shops operate like this in Chennai also. Okay. The vendors will come and place their product. Leave it with the shop. After 1 month they will come. Then the shop owner will see how many products have been sold. If he has sold 5 products, then he will give you the cost of the 5 products. That means the owner is making profit from your inventory. He is not inventory. There is nil cash on inventory. Okay. You spend some time on what profit and loss. You want some 5 minutes break or something? We'll continue? Okay. Profit and loss account. Now, hereafter I will start asking questions. That's why I said you need a break of few minutes. I will form you into groups. You will discuss and give an answer. Okay? How does a profit and loss account look like? First, you have a revenue. Then you have direct expenses. Okay? First 3 are one group. Okay? Next 3, just form yourself into group of 3. Right? Is a team formed? Form yourself in a group of 3. Yeah. Is there any team where there are only 2 people? You can join them. Yeah, I can join. So you don't mind question answers, right? You can just discuss and come out with some answers. Now there's a revenue, so no doubt about it. And direct expenses. Okay. Now what will get into direct expenses? Yes, I'll give you 2 minutes to discuss. Then some team can answer this. What do you mean by direct expenses? I'm asking what is the direct expenses? This is the first level in the profit and loss account. Yeah, your attention please. Yeah, he would like to answer. Yeah, please stand up and answer.
When I'm selling a product and suppose I'm giving you some commission over it. So
Yeah.
that commission will come to me and
Direct expenses. Okay, let me first listen, then I'll answer. Yeah, any other answers? Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Okay, okay. Good. Then, any other answer? Direct expenses? Directly giving to vendor. Okay, then. Okay.
The money which goes out to the company directly in the form of cash to any purpose like machinery purchase, raw material,
Okay.
zero credit vendor purchase.
Yeah.
That are directly involved in the product making, like raw material purchase.
Yeah.
Per service provide.
All that is.
Yeah. This team and that team, they have really come closer. Say I buy this as 10 rupees. I am selling it at 12 rupees. Now for me revenue is 12. I am buying it at 10. This is a direct cost. Whatever goes directly into the revenue, because of this only you have made this revenue. Cost of manufacturing or creating a product or service and you sell that. You are able to link the expenses with the product or the service. For example, I spend 2 resources to a company for providing some service and I bill the client 10,000 rupees. I am paying these 2 people 6,000 salary. This is called direct expense. The first expense is without this direct expense, you can't make this revenue. A good business should first see, are you making this gross profit?
Can you repeat the example? Which
Yeah.
you gave?
Yeah.
There are 2 people.
Yeah, see, somebody is asking me to do accounting work. So I send 2 people to do the accounts work. I pay them salary of 6,000 rupees. I am saying beyond this I don't have any other cost on that. I have to pay them 6,000 rupees. Work is completed. I am raising an invoice for 10,000 on the client. Now what is my revenue here? 10,000. What is the direct cost? 6,000. That is the gross profit. So this will change from company to company. What is your direct expense? You only know better. For example, a trading company, I buy this, sell it. This is my direct expense. This is my direct expense. Or service company based on just giving manpower. Manpower, that's a direct expense. And you develop software for a client. You send 10 people to the client's place, develop a software. You do a billing of 10 lakhs, but the salary cost there is around 6 lakhs. That means you have made a gross profit. Or you go to a hotel. Every day they do a sale of 20 lakhs. But that day, for provisions, vegetables, those laborers, cleaning, for that I have spent 18 lakhs. So my direct expenses are 18 lakhs. I am making a gross profit of 2 lakhs. Yeah. No, no. I say directly connected to the product you are selling or directly connected to the service you are offering. You will able to relate it. Yeah. 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 All those things are overheads. See, it is not, are you going to charge based on the rent you are paying? You will generally pay on the manpower you utilize, supervisory cost or their travel cost. So what is a direct expense depends on what type of business you are doing. My direct cost may not be same as your direct cost. Sometimes direct cost should be a combination of so many costs also. But if yours is in the development stage, don't worry about it because you are not going to get revenue, you are only going to develop a product. First, till the revenue comes. Yeah.
What he said, suppose you are running a hostel on a rented building.
Yeah.
In that case, rent becomes a direct expense.
That's what, it depends on expense. I am running a hostel. Okay. A room, I ask somebody to stay, they pay 15,000 rent per month. But I have to pay rent of 10,000 for that room. Then cleaning the room, I spent 1,000 rupees. Maintenance another 1,000 rupees. So I spent directly on that room 13,000 rupees. But I get a revenue of 15,000. So direct cost is 13,000, revenue is 15. So what is the margin you have in that? This clearly shows how effective your business is.
Yeah. So I just wanted, somebody said machinery is a direct expense. Is machinery a direct expense?
Manufacturing cost is direct.
Is machinery, you buy 50 lakhs worth of machinery, is that a direct expense? Why?
Asset.
If we are buying it for trading, then it's a direct expense.
But otherwise it's an asset.
You got the point right. If you buy and sell, then it is direct. Otherwise, whichever is used for production is not direct expenses. Okay. The machinery is producing some products that you are selling. That's a direct cost. Gopal, you want to add?
I agree.
Yeah.
Because somebody mentioned that and it didn't, I think you didn't pick it up while they were saying, that's why I thought I will emphasize.
So I have a doubt on supposingly if we do some expense on the marketing, so whether that comes as a direct expense,
Yeah.
regular marketing which we are doing for our
Okay.
products.
Okay. So how is it generally seen is some companies are relating the marketing executive spend directly to the revenue. For example, I work some software for some schools. I generate a revenue from each school, but to get that school, I need to have a marketing executive to go meet, close the order. If I am able to relate those expenses to the revenue, I can treat it as a, because unless I spend, I am not able to get it. I can treat it. Where generally you release some ad and banners where you can't directly relate it, that is not a direct expense. That becomes indirect expense. So what is a gross profit depends on what business you are in, what are the money you are spending to get that revenue. Now in a software company, you pay rent, that becomes indirect expense. So the first question, are you making a GP? So it is not only from the accounting point of view, your business efficiency. See, it's a conscious decision. Some company may do away with the GP in the initial few years, they don't mind. I want to spend lot, I want to make a small margin, I don't mind, I want to get lot of customers. But In reality, the product you manufacture is sold lesser than your manufacturing cost. That means you don't have a good business model on hand. So GP is the first stage. So as a finance person, you should take all the efforts to see there is a GP. Can I reduce the expense? Or can I increase my revenue? Cost control. Then you have indirect expenses. Yeah.
Sir, if you look at it this way, then who's to say that only the business owner has the sort of an idea as to what to put under direct, what to put under indirect? If you're saying it
No,
varies with the definition.
Not necessarily
business.
owner, anybody understands a business.
He'll be able to define.
For example, some business, okay, rent is a direct expense, rent a hostel. Some business, only manufacturing people, salary to manufacturing people will be direct expense. Some business, even salary to marketing people may be direct expense. So what are the amount you are spending which is used for selling?
What has
Gone into your product, what has gone
gone into your service that gives you a revenue?
A simple way of looking at it is that if it is piece rate, suppose the manufacturing guy gets paid on the basis that I produce 10 units, I will get paid 25 rupees per unit I produce. Then it is a direct expense. But if he is being paid a wage at the end of the month of 10,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees, then it is always indirect. Because whether he produces or not, he will get paid. So similarly, a sales guy, if he is being paid on commission basis, then you can treat it as direct. Because if no sale, no commission, no wage. But if he is being paid at the end of the month, 25,000, irrespective of whether sale happens or not, it is an indirect expense. This is the acid test, that is it directly related to the item which you are producing and selling.
And does it also imply that businesses should have relevant contracts for those relevant departments? Like if you're going for production and you have employees for production, the contracts would be different, and the employees who are working in that, will it
You are getting
also?
into a different subject altogether. Is he piece rate?
Okay.
Remember this term piece rate.
Okay.
Are you paying him per piece produced? Then he is direct. It is not how you classify him. And in a small company, any of classifications don't happen. It is only in large companies. In small companies, your people do everything. Piece rate, whether it is production, whether it is sales, your R&D will always be indirect.
So will it be fair to calculate that part? So suppose I spend putting 2 people on the production line, and I'm spending say 20,000 to produce whatever numbers. So at the end of the month or end of the year when I'm doing the accounts, I just divide the total number of units produced by the amount spent on those 2 people alone.
That you will do for a different metric. You will do that for what is my manpower component in cost of goods sold. It will not be for what he is talking about.
Okay, okay.
Because irrespective of whether the guy produces 200 pieces or 300 pieces,
Huh.
you are paying him the same amount, no?
Correct, correct. That's what
So
I.
then it is indirect.
So this is not the same as COGS, and it is the COGS picture. Only part of it will be coming here. It's not exactly like COGS.
It is not part, they are totally different.
See.
Direct expense is relating to what you produce and sell. Any expense which is not related to production directly is an indirect expense.
So can we take it this way that it is directly related to the production volume? If it is a manufacturing company, it is
Production, rate of production.
rate of production. Okay. Per
If you, the acid test is, if he produces 0 pieces, will you still pay him?
no.
Loud enough.
No. If we don't pay him, then it comes under a direct expense.
if you, let's say, if at the end of the month, you pay a guy 20,000 rupees, irrespective of whether what quantity is produced, then it is an indirect expense. If it is paid at the rate of 25 rupees per piece, and you count the number of pieces at the end of the day or end of the month, and then pay him, it is direct. Am I right?
Yeah, see, basically it depends on the industry. For example, in the trading you can clearly say, what is the product purchased, what is sold. Sometimes even in a manufacturing company, we see for the month as a whole, we have produced so much and we have spent salary so much for producing, then even if you don't go through piece rate, this is no other way it can be accounted because all these people are involved in production. So in that case, we might account it as a direct expense. Okay. Or if there is a piece rate contract where I will pay you based on number of job contract. I don't produce, I pay job contract. If you supply so much, I will pay you so much. That's a direct expense. Okay. But I have a small manufacturing unit where I produce 100 quantity or something every month. I have one laborer to do that. In that month he produces only 90, but my revenue is 90. In case I am paying the cost, it is directly going into that. So for there, it's still a direct expense. Suppose the same unit, somebody is doing administration, that goes to indirect. Okay. So anything you can identify directly with the revenue is a direct cost. So what type of industry you are in?
We are manufacturing biofertilizers. It's a fiber-based biofertilizer.
Yeah.
So it's a unit, manufacturing unit, per unit manufacturing.
Manufacturing unit with you, right?
Yes, yes,
You manufacture the product, sell it.
yes, exactly.
In this case, you have 5 people who are totally involved in manufacturing, that goes as a direct expense. Because without them, and you get raw material, that goes into product. So direct expense to be direct material, direct labor, direct overheads. All this in combination of direct expense. Indirect is, I am not able to relate it with the product manufactured or services offered. Administrative salary, HR salary, sometimes marketing salary, staff welfare. I am not directly related, that's indirect expense. Okay. See, when I do the business, I should know whether I am making some profit more than what I actually spent on creating this product or service. Some companies spend lot of money on marketing. Because of that, if there is a loss, I don't mind. Because my marketing will give benefit for several years. Isn't it? I spend lot of money on marketing, but I don't want to relate it to the sales because marketing spending now will be a brand building for me, visibility for me. I can make profit even next year. But what I sell should not be less than the rate at which it is manufactured. For example, I buy it 10 rupees. Can I sell it at 8 rupees? So when I sell it at 12 rupees, I will say how much I paid for this, 10 rupees. This is my direct expense. But to sell this, I release a TV ad. Because of that, if I incur a loss, that is fine. But the product stage, I should not incur a loss. That's direct expense. I have a restaurant, okay. I sell dosa at 40 rupees. As a restaurant, I might incur loss because I pay rent, electricity. But I charge 40 rupees for dosa. To make the dosa, my ingredient card is 50 rupees. Can I make profit? That's why the GP is a first level business efficiency.
The more you sell, the more money you lose. It's an unstable area. The more you sell, the more you're losing.
Yeah.
It's very negative. Right? You're getting 50 and your cost is 51. Every unit you sell, you're losing.
You lose money.
There's no point. Even if you're making something, somewhere there will be a positive gain.
Yeah.
So
I have seen a corporate catering company, okay, they were providing lunch for some corporate, 2,000, 3,000 people, everyday lunch. And when they got the order, they were very excited. Each lunch is 45 rupees. They said 3,000 into 45. And first month they saw their raw material cost, that is the vegetable cost, provision cost, salary you pay to the cook, and you have some wastages. That cost is more than the amount actually you received. Forget about other expenses. You have fuel cost, provisions, vegetable. Then we worked out what is the total cost divided by 2000 into 30. Then making one food, you spend nearly 60 rupees. And you are selling it at 45 rupees. This is what I mean. You have gross profit or not.
In that case, distribution will be coming in indirect.
Which one?
Distribution.
Distribution. Once again, distribution is it directly connected to your revenue or not? Sometimes distribution may not be directly connected. Okay. So there is one egg company. Okay. How we arrived at, they get egg from the farmers, free range farming. Okay. They buy it at 8 rupees. Then they sell it at 16 rupees. Some you would have seen this, like 16 rupees. Now what is the direct cost here is 10 rupees you pay to the farmer, and to distribute each egg you pay 2 rupees. Now 10 plus 2, 12 is my direct cost. Because without the 2 I cannot get this. To sell so many eggs, I have to necessarily spend so much for distribution. So per egg it comes to 2 rupees. Now I am saying 12 rupees is my direct cost, 16 is the revenue, still I am making a gross profit.
So if you are doing some marketing campaigns course, and we cannot say that through that marketing campaign how many increased sales you are getting. So does that come under direct?
Indirect. Indirect. Okay. So that's why you spend on marketing, the benefit is going to come not only this year, you build your brand. Next year, future it is going to come. So we don't relate directly with the direct expenses. Like a lot of logistics companies, they are incurring loss because they spend a lot here on indirect expenses. Because they know they will get more profit in future, so they are spending more. They don't mind incurring more indirect expenses. So after this, what you get? EBITDA. This is what you get. Operationally, first level is gross profit. Then you have this marketing, administration, HR, rent. Are you getting this? EBITDA. Earning before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. This is the second level of profit. Yeah, any doubts in this?
So EBITDA is basically revenue minus direct minus indirect.
Correct. Yes. Because even if you do this, without this, you would not have achieved this. So consider all those indirect expenses. Now you see what is the earning before. Because sometimes you borrow money. That is not a direct expense, that is not an indirect expense. It is funding. So I am not treating it as a direct or indirect. So before the interest, once again depreciation. I am using all the machinery. So I am not taking it to here. After this, what is the depreciation you will see. This is operational efficiency of the company.
So if a company is making two products, and first two rows, which is revenue and direct expense, it has to be unit economics then. Like for two products, the individual product one has to, these two row will be different, and two row will have for product two will be.
Correct.
But for the complete, the chart will be for a company, including product A and product B, right?
Correct.
That's how it is.
So that is basically for your management information. You can divide it to even 7 or 8, depends on the number of products you have. Even some companies, even this indirect expenses, we apportion between all the 7 verticals, see are we really making profit or not. I make 3 products in the same room. My product cost, labor cost. Then finally I also pay rent. I might divide into 3 and take indirect for all the 3.
Okay.
Apportionment of the overheads.
Hmm.
Okay.
So in this case, if company buy for supposedly for Fipson like product, they buy a machinery, so it won't be a part of any of this, right?
Exactly. You are buying the machinery for manufacturing.
Yeah,
Correct.
for manufacturing. So
It won't come anywhere.
it won't come anywhere
Yeah.
in this. It won't be a part of direct expense or indirect expense.
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you where it is addressed in the next slide. Okay. But there is some notional expenses for you because the machinery is going down in value, correct?
Yes. So
That will come below as a depreciation. This is operational efficiency. So any questions in this? Go ahead. Part 2. So start with EBITDA here. Previous one. Up to EBITDA we have calculated. This is operational profit. Gross profit, operational profit. Start with EBITDA, depreciation, that's where what your question come. Without that machinery, you can't make profit. So what is the depreciation? You reduce that also. Then what you will get here is earning before interest and tax. Earning before interest and tax. And amortization, both here. These are basically non-cash expenditure. There is no actual cash flow involved in this. The value of the asset is coming down. That is also indirectly our expenses, right? So I am taking it as depreciation and amortization here. So this is your question, right? This answers your question.
because we can't consider it both places.
Exactly.
Expense also and then again depreciation. So it will
Exactly.
be like double deduction.
Correct, exactly. So depreciation, then you be earning before interest and tax. Then interest. You borrow loan from the bank and you pay interest. Is it direct expense or indirect expense? Nothing. It is a funding cost. It is not directly connected to product. It is not directly connected to overheads, but this is for getting the money for the company, you are paying this. This has nothing to do with the operations. So earning before interest and tax, less interest, you will get earning before tax. That will be?
For the equity based funding, there will be no interest.
Yeah. Equity, there is no interest. Okay. When you go for debt funding, you have to pay this interest. Now, why are we showing this separately is, many times to make that profit, you are paying a lot of interest. To compare, are you really borrowing so much and paying interest to make that money? So what percentage of revenue is going towards interest, profit is going towards interest? Then you have tax, what you pay to the government on the profit. Then you have net profit, or we will call it as PAT, profit after tax. This goes to the owner as a surplus. All your commitments are over. This goes to the owner as a surplus.
So when I have purchased inventory, there is like I have purchased 5 lakhs rupees inventory and it stays there in my factory for 5 months. Then if that money would have been in bank, I would have got some extra interest from the bank.
Correct.
And where does that interest goes?
No, if you actually deposit some money you have into the bank, okay, you get some deposit interest from the bank, that goes as a other income. That is not direct revenue, direct expenses.
It doesn't come in this chart.
No.
Okay.
That's an inflow you get. We'll call it as other. That doesn't come into operational things. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't come into the profit or loss.
It doesn't come here, but where does it go?
Balance sheet.
Balance sheet. Okay.
I told you the formula, no?
Yes.
owners plus surplus is equal to comes there. That is not an expense actually. That is a cash flow, not just an expense.
So when you sell 1 unit of quantity, over that there is supposingly you are putting it through some dealer channel. So there is a dealer cut 20%, 30%. So where does that go?
Takes 20% margin, right?
Yes.
So all those things will be direct expenses. 100 rupees. Okay. To sell 100 rupees, you are paying 20 rupees to a dealer.
Yes, yes.
Straight away it goes to direct expenses.
Okay. So
Because-
in our books, revenue will be 100.
100.
But dealer margin is cut as a direct expense
Correct.
as a 20 rupees.
Correct. So we'll go to the next.